We'll start with Etzion this morning, Friday, April 12th. All right, Etzion.
We mentioned the Wailing Wall concerning Bauji. Each time I would come to Bauji's office, since he became a chairman, I used to come often to Mehrabad. I would come to sit in his office, and all the time people would come and complain about this and about that, about the, about everything. So I like to make everybody laugh and happy, so I kept on exchanging with him funny emails. So if you found what I sent you, Bauji 2004, you have this Word document?
Look,
Yeah.
let's see, Dear Bauji, Word document, and I'm not seeing a date. It's 5 pages. Is this correct? The 5-page letter?
Possible, yes.
No, the date here is 2003, April 12th, 2003. Could that?
Okay.
Okay, all right.
Just read a few portions of it, just for the fun of it.
Okay, I'll share it then here.
Okay.
Oh. Okay, so, all right. Do you want me to read? You can read? Who?
You read better than I am, most likely.
The tireless chairman of the trust, who has at least 92 Baba souls. I received these 2 emails of yours. You are very kind. I informed Ted about my possibilities of visiting Mehrabad. Since he didn't respond yet, I understand I am not welcome. That's okay with me. Even Baba doesn't invite me, so why should I care? I can always sleep on the grass beyond Mehrabad grounds like an outcast and cover myself with Baba leaves. I meant banana leaves. Sister Ruth is doing very well. She is yelling at me daily for your utter enjoyment. She is in a good control of me, meaning the world still has still some hope. I'll have a blood test when and if I come to Mehrabad. I am not responsible if the doctors will die. So make sure you have fresh doctors handy. It rained very heavily till a few days ago, and I deeply apologize. I won't make such mistake again. Anyway, Baba likes Mehrabad as it is, dry, hot, and parched. So his lovers will enjoy sharing a bit of his universal suffering. I think we should train a cadre of suffering doctors in order to cure Baba of his addiction for suffering. What will happen if at least for one single Advent the beloved will come for marrying's sake? I mean, Marie? No, I think I meant Mary. Good heavens, what happened to my English? Sister Ruth saved me from eternal shame. I meant Mary, Merry, of course. Okay, let's go on. So, have a great ice cream hour. I checked very seriously. Huh?
Ice cream too. Bauji was an ice cream addict. Wherever he went, they had to prepare him ice creams.
Right, I remember that. That's right. So have a great ice cream tour. I checked very seriously your lavish schedule and I noted at least 32 different ice cream tastes with plenty of Marys. What is that? Berries?
No, just made it up, just to make him laugh.
I bet he liked this. Thanks, Bauji, for instructing me to notify you Ruth's health. I, of course, take advantage of it in order to fulfill Baba's order to me, which is making his chairman laugh. I call this a double. I, of course, would never email you otherwise, exercising obedience as per Erich's order not to harass the mandali. Well, I harassed the mandali over Baba issues, never complained about my personal plight, like marrying the gunner's daughter. Is that your wife?
Sort of. This is part of funny exchanges between me and Bauji. There were emails before that and after that. And the ladies in the Bauji's office telling that each time Bauji was expecting my emails because everybody was laughing very hard. Otherwise, there were non-stop troubles people were giving him. So I was giving him a good time, making him laugh each time.
He did laugh. That's nice. In trying to obey him for a change, you're empty Han.
This is a nickname he gave me. Everybody got a nickname from Bauji. Empty honey explains down there somebody who is observing, because I used to sit on the side and not saying anything.
Ah, okay, okay. So here is Bauji's response to Etzion Becker by email Etzion Becker, date Saturday, April 12th, 2000. Oh, today. The anniversary is today.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. I received your email dated 11th April. Subject: My dear Empty Han, I received your email dated 11th April and about the permission from Lord Mayor. You have already taken the consent of Lawrence Ryder, and therefore there is no need to write to anyone. Dawn is not responsible for the copyright of Lord Mayor, and also Ward Parks has nothing to do with Lord Mayor. So far, the news of war is concerned. Okay. So far, the news of war is concerned. To can give to Don for this. Not sure what you meant here. Don Stevens, right? Okay.
Yes, Don Stevens. Yes.
I hope Sister Ruth is doing better and you are under her control. If you go out of the control, Sister Ruth should inform me. And I will see how to bring you under control. With all love and Jai Baba to you and Sister Ruthie in his love and service, bow. Nice.
She also came to me to Meir Abad those days.
Uh-huh.
And during 2002, Bauji invited us to stay in Meir Abad, to move permanently to Meir Abad. They would offer us on spiritual training. He wanted me to support the trust, and Ted Judson to be on his team. I was thinking to open the carpentry shop, etc., etc. A long story. And I was thinking to give the center to the Babalavas in Israel. I was making all kinds of preparations, moving to Meir Abad, and I made a preparation earnest to move to Meir Abad, but at the same time, since I have a little bit of experience with Baba, I made preparations both directions to go to Meir Abad or to anywhere else, to stay in Israel, whatever he wanted. Eventually, he decided whatever he decided. What happened is that I used to come every few months to Meir Abad to get settled, to make preparations, to move there. And then one day, my wife Ruth got very sick and she was hospitalized and got phone calls from Israel that I have to come back right away. And then I understood that's the end of it and I have to stay in Israel because she won't be able to live in Meir Abad. And I also had some feelings I won't get along in Meir Abad. It's not an easy place, not because of because of various reasons. It doesn't matter.
Uh-huh. Interesting. So that's how that happened. What to say?
Oh, yeah. Read another one. I feel like starting the evening with some fun.
Oh, why don't I read all of them? This is page 3 now.
Read all of them. It's hilarious. It's simply funny.
Now, Thursday, this was previous, March 27, now 2003. I received your lucky email dated 26th March. My dearest Empty Han, I received your loving email dated 26 March, and I am very, very happy to know that the doctors checked Sister Ruth again from her hair to her toes and found no further disturbing evidence. But she is quite frail, and therefore you would not be able to leave her for long periods. It is all right. You must look after her. If you want to come again to Maribad during May, it is all right, but you inform Ted, and if he thinks it is all right for you in May, you may come. And I will definitely go to ice cream countries. So I will enjoy, and you will suffer in the heat of Maribad. I think Ted will be here in the month of May because he is going to the sea in April, not out of the country, but in the country. I am amazed to know that your blood is a mix of green and yellow stuff, and therefore when you come here you must see Dr. Gus, who will take you to Pune Hospital. There are all types of tests. It will be at least 2 months for the test and 1 month for treatment. So you must be in the hospital for 3 months in Pune. Swallowing is hard because your blood becomes green-yellow stuff. You have to become dust under the feet of the beloved. That is the only remedy I could think of. No other remedy can cure you. You are incurable. I have noticed that it is raining very heavily in Israel and there is shortage of water at Maribad. Anyway, we are getting water from Ahmednagar, and villagers from Erangown come to take water. We cannot stop them because water is necessary for everyone. Without water, we could not live, and therefore you think of something and send the rain here. And if you send the rain here by the end of this month, I will garland you and I will call you Swami Emtihan. Emtihan means examination. Then there will be real examination for you. It is your good idea that you can come here 2, 3, or 4 times for short visits, and I therefore want you to inform Ted, and if he accepts it, you are welcome. With all love and Jai Baba to you and Sister Ruth, in his love and service, bow. My dear happy chairman, this is your response, I think. I combined your 2 fast emails to me and will answer swiftly once. First, as per the sister goes, she's well, working hard and receiving the treatments Baba has prescribed for her. I had to explain to her, in spite of her advanced state, that she has to accept proper medical treatment, which she refused until now, simply, of course, not willing to burden the Lord with her petty mundane issues. As of late, his Lordness fulfills all her wishes. She got a nice car, I am the driver, a home as she likes, a good job, and I even had a haircut. As per your accurate diagnosis, I wholeheartedly agree. But first, I must introduce you to a good Israeli expression. It is not a dirty word, mind you. Even it is completely dirty. Jifa sounds like giraffe, but without the R. Westerners don't know how to pronounce the R properly. And this is the main reason for the decline of the West. But this is another issue altogether. Jifa is this kind of sticking dirt which you cannot get rid of. The dirt under the fingernails, those dirts on the glass window which never come off, the little dirts between the corners, the jifas in the nose, etc. You got the point. Now I am some kind of Sanskaric jifawala. Sanskaric jifa has been my lot. So where am I supposed to advance to? To the next pile of Sanskaric jifa? I see that Baba provides you with the proper knowledge of dealing with the issues of this world. It is true that quite a few shrinks tried their best to fix my rusty wheels, but of no avail. Desperately, Baba appointed 3 gods to curse this acute cosmic trouble once and for all, but they have failed. I don't wish to tell you what was their sentence for failing to carry out Baba's wishes, but you have done it. Some of your comments below did hit the nail on its head and proved again what an indispensable chairman you are. As per Uncle Ted and the new PC, I guess I can do the work if he still wants it. Yes, he has to examine the draft I gave him and discuss it with me over the internet, or I'll call him and prearrange the details before I'll come again to quench my jifa. I'll come again to quench my jifa brains in the intoxicating dusts of Marabad. Humbly and sincerely yours, the non-advanced Emtihan. All right, so now we're in September. Etzion Becker, Tuesday, September 7th, 2004. Subject, I received in snail mail your letter dated 16 July 2004. My dearest Etzion the Emtihan, I received in snail mail your letter dated 16th July 2004, and I think that your mind is not normal. You need some examination with psychoanalyst. Don't think that I don't know the smelling of snail mail. I know it. But send person did not send, and that is why, instead of snail mail, I'm sending it through instant mail. I am sorry to hear that my dear sister Ruth has some blood problems, and because of that, she is not permitted to travel. I am very happy to know that you are very easy for beloved Baba's work inside, but use your heart and don't use your insanity. I am also happy to know that you will be coming to Marabad where your heart is, and hopefully you will help to decorate the new Pilgrim Center. You have now made it clear that your heart is there and you are using your absent mind, and that is why you must get instant mail. With all love and Jai Baba to you and my dear sister Ruth, arrange for her proper treatment so that she may get well soon. In his love and service, Wow. Okay. And this is now this letter was in August 2004, so it was previous to that letter. My dearest,
I mixed it a little bit.
yeah, okay, we get the gist. My dearest Emtihan, I received your loving email dated 18 August, and I have noticed that my sister Ruth is diagnosed as suffering from some chronic blood problem. However, she is being permitted to fly in her imagination to her beloved, which is a relief. Dear Emtihan, note well that she does not fly in imagination. She flies in love, and that is a great thing. Do not bring her down. She is one step ahead of you, though she does not say anything. I am happy to know that beloved Baba keeps you very busy for his work in Israel, and I am not disappointed. And on the contrary, I'm very happy to hear that many, probably hundreds or more, hear his lovely name through your humble person. You are not in exile in Israel. Be there, and whenever you may find some time, you may visit Marabad for a short time. Don't get locked up either in Marabad or in Israel. Always keep the lock open. Otherwise, I will complain against you to my dear sister Ruth, and she will not hesitate to punish you. I am also very happy to know that you will smell the dust of Marabad this year. It is good. My tour is going on very well this year, and I find that beloved Baba is drawing his lovers closer and closer to him, and I feel touched with his compassion and love for his dear ones. With all love and Jai Baba to you and dear sister Ruth, in his love and service, bow. And that's all. Oh, that's quite a, what's the
I
word?
used to exchange dozens of emails like this over the years. So you can feel there was some kind of fun atmosphere between us.
Lighten his load. He carried such a load. I'm sure it was he looked forward to your email, the fun ones. Yeah.
Jeff wanted, what do you think? We'll have some Genesis discussion. You wish? What do you wish to do?
Jeff, you want to comment? What you are wanting to discuss as far as the of Genesis?
This was a request of Jeff. So we'll deal with the
Yeah.
interpretation I made on the Genesis.
Yeah.
Etzion, as we ended last week, you went into an area of a lot of interest of mine, which is at least twofold: the beginning and the truth and the real meaning of what the original Aramaic translated into Hebrew was, and to really hear the truth and whatever you can explain in the depth that you explain it of the Word of God. I'm very interested in it. I have
Okay.
studied the Torah like you have, and I've read the commentaries of some of the rabbis, Rambam, Rashi, the Hirsch commentary especially. If you could maybe talk a little about the interpretation of those beginning verses and what they really mean, not just symbolically, but in the reality of your own life, the relationship to Baba.
I wrote a book about this. It's about 270 pages in English. In Hebrew, it's 170 pages. English is 30 times larger. The same text would be 30% larger. Hebrew is very condensed language.
What's the name of your book?
The book, I can open it. If I can share, can I share the screen?
I hope so. I don't know.
To ask Betty. Betty is not here. She has to enable me to share the screen. She's not here. Just a minute. Tell you what I'll do. First, I'll open the file. By then she will be back, I hope.
Me to share screen?
Can I share the screen, please?
Oh, sure. Let me make you co-host. You want to do it yourself?
Yeah, because you have to give me permission.
Yeah. Now you have it.
There it is. This is a book. It's opening up. I started to write it in Merabat, 2006, either 5 or 6 or 7, don't remember for sure. After I had a conversation with now Sherban Anzar, he requested an article about Judaism, Israel. So I will write some article about what's going on in general. Then after my meeting with him, I was working in Merabad. I used to work in Merabad every day, and I had a little video tape in my pocket. And while working there, I had the experience of the first word in the Torah, which wrongly translated in the beginning. It is not in the beginning. What I experienced, the word, Bereshith, was some kind of explosion that some infinitude exploded into manyness. This is the meaning of the first verse in the Hebrew Bible. So I'll show you slowly the book, and I can get to the explanation of that first verse. And I wrote so far Genesis and Exodus. And if you'll go all the way through this voyage, it is actually an odyssey. It brings endless insights which are not contained anywhere else, even not in the Baba literature. Explains the problems of creation, the problems of humanity, the fall of man, and the attempts to heal humanity. And all the our possibilities and all what we were received to heal humanity, which we failed to do or refused to do, it doesn't matter. And this brought us to this present sad situation. The key I received was to look at the text like a mirror. Question if you want me to read the forward, or you can read it later, or I'll go direct to the explanation of Exodus.
Sure.
The Genesis, excuse me. I'll go direct there.
You want me to read, Etzion? You let
You
me
want
know.
to read?
I can't.
Do you want to read the forward?
Sure. Okay.
You see it well?
Forward. The theme of the Hebrew Bible is the eternal discussion concerning the goal of life. Is there a creator? And if in the affirmative, what is the purpose of creation? These questions are being asked by humanity since some sense of being was developed, and the answers are crucial for our life's purposes. A person who considers life on earth can witness chaos, evil, and cruelty everywhere. The strong devours the weak. Justice and integrity are hallmarks of weakness. If the creator exists, or maybe we can name the power behind the creation as infinite intelligence, where is he in daily life? Even from a superficial view of life, obviously we witness the actions of infinite intelligence. The basic self functions with absolute perfection, and within it, tens of thousands of microscopic factories work together with perfect accord. The very nature of a cell demands that it has to be created at once. It is not possible to develop it by stages, evolutionary, supposedly. It is so infinitely complex that there must be an infinite intelligence behind it. Every molecule which enters the cell has to be numbered and counted. And can you raise up the text, Etzion? Has to be numbered and counted, and thus the molecules which are being ejected. And the more the organism continues to be developed, so its systems become infinitely complex. So there is no time in the universe to allow these systems to be developed randomly, evolutionary, without a power of thought which acts behind. We cannot imagine that a work of a master artist can be created by itself. And there is no reasonable person who can accept this. It seems that the apex of human achievement is music, and the complex musical works that exist, which were created by the great musical masters, are evidence of complexity and perfection beyond human endeavor. The ability to move more than 100 voices and sounds with perfect harmony is an achievement almost beyond the human mind. The most primitive organism is billions of times more complex than the most complicated human creation. It can correct itself and create a perfect replica of itself, accurate to the last item. The most rudimentary organism is a symphony which unites perfectly millions and billions of elements, and each element has its own unique sound, since all are moving and vibrating. The human body is almost infinitely more complex in comparison to the basic cell, and capable of functioning for hundreds of years perfectly. It is not possible that such a thing can be self-created. There is only one rational conclusion: infinite intelligence has been operating here. I wonder, Jeff, if you might want to read a bit What do you say? Or Etzion?
Betty, you read very beautifully. I'd love to take a turn. Thank you for sharing the love of this beautiful piece that Etzion wrote, and the Torah and the Bible. Thank you. So, what was the last sentence that you read? I was reading as you
You see
were,
my
but
personal conclusion.
okay.
That's
This
So
is what you
begin with
see. Yes.
thank you. My personal conclusion has been there is a creator.
whoops, we
It is
lost.
actually my personal experience. The example which I brought above is not a proof, and this was not my path. It is actually an axiom. I know it for myself, but I cannot prove it for others. Is it really? I think it is possible, but this is the responsibility which rests upon each one of us individually. Let's try to follow this great adventure and reach together certain conclusions. The implications are far-fetched. The behavior of humans avoided the awareness that an infinite intelligence is behind the phenomena, unleashes destruction and chaos on Earth in larger and larger scales, as if the human race decided to commit suicide, physically and mentally. Why humans refuse to see the phenomena as it really is? It is actually escaping the responsibility which rests upon us individually and collectively. Where are those representatives of the truth, supposedly upon earth, the various religions which claim to represent the Creator, but actually busy taking control of the masses, establishing purposefully divisions and hatreds between the people and shirking real world? Why was that so obvious? Why that which is so obvious is lacking from human experience? The book before us is dealing with the complex problems which were presented above and offer answers to the questions. I'll attempt to show the issues and what is their meaning from personal standpoint. I'll walk from issue after issue and will develop them according to my understanding. I have no intention to argue with any person or faith. For discussion purposes, I respect any thought and idea. The only thing which I oppose is a worldview based on fear and hatred. Over the years, I contemplated deeply over the biblical texts and also with other sources external from traditional Judaism, which confirm the truthfulness of the Torah. Various spiritual masters who worked externally of the Jewish people confirmed the fact that there was a person by the name of Moses, Moshe Rabbeinu, and the revelation on Mount Sinai did occur. How did they reach such conclusions? It is possible that they have capabilities of investigation that an ordinary human doesn't have. Of course, it is not a scientific proof. Examining the archaeological evidence in the laboratory, yet their words provoke thoughts. And here lies the crux of the issue. What I am writing is my own personal view, and I don't claim any authority. The texts stimulate thinking. Are these stories true, or are they a creation of allegorical writing? Did act here forces beyond our comprehension, or is it a philosophical approach to consider the meaning of life? I am aware there are a few versions of the Torah. There are slight differences in the texts of various Jewish groups. There is the Samaritan's Torah, the Dead Sea Scrolls, the New Testament, and the Quran, which testify for the truthfulness of the Torah. Sufi masters dealt with it. Some of the Hebrew legends some of the Hebrew legends appear in the law of other nations. There are various debates in the Talmud, but we are not dealing here with a historical investigation, and all that concerned me is what is being presented before us and what the texts inspire. I am dealing with the psychology of the stories, not their linguistic and historical accuracy. The psychology of the stories is what we are dealing with. When you read later on what I am offering, you will realize there is no difference. I am writing a story based on Jewish.
Mythology.
Give me a moment. I am writing a story based on Jewish mythology and what I am seeing behind the veil. I'm writing a story based on Jewish mythology and what I am seeing behind the veil. Already as a child, I was fascinated by the biblical stories. I felt very strongly as if I am living the stories. I was really within the happenings, especially in the book of Genesis. Stories of the patriarchs, especially that of Jacob and Rachel, had a very profound impact on me. It was very personal for me. The feeling persisted till the age of 9 and then vanished, but the memory survived. In spite of the fact that I considered various sources which explain the Torah within Judaism and outside of it, I'm attempting here to explain it from a personal angle as much as it is possible. I made an effort to disconnect from what I have learned mentally and allow free thinking. It is not a work of comparing texts. It is not a mystical, Kabbalistic article. I didn't study Kabbalah. It is not scientific research, supposedly, but writing the streaming thoughts which emerge from deep contemplation and actual experience. Truthfully, I have no academic, religious, historic discipline, and if I had to undergo the regular learning process in our institutes, my consciousness would be fixed along traditional thinking, and this article wouldn't see the day of light, wouldn't see the light of day. From consideration of various things which I say, it might be wrongly interpreted that I place New Age concepts on the Torah stories. The opposite is the truth. From the consideration of various things which I say, it might be wrongly interpreted that I place New Age concepts on the Torah stories. The opposite is the truth. I attempt to show that these concepts already exist in the Torah, and many scholars and advanced spiritual persons actually interpret and explain the spiritual Torah of Moses according to the need of the ages, the circumstances, and the mental frame of the people with whom they worked. From considering the issues over the years, I reached the understanding that the texts are based on truths, but were written in symbolic, allegorical fashion, and are right to understand it according to our abilities. I see the issues as a personal, internal process which occurs within us, and not only as an external process. The article is also meant to explain the text to the people who view it as an obsolete, old-fashioned religious doctrine, and also to salute incredible people who preserve the texts against all the odds and with superhuman dedication.
You have to know that while I was writing all this, I didn't look at any books. The only text I was looking at was the Hebrew text in Genesis and Exodus. And while I was reading the verses in Hebrew, the Hebrew verses are incredible. And it's not possible to translate it. So the work I did transfer it into English. It's an explanation of what I experienced. What I was writing in Hebrew, of course, I was contemplating on the Hebrew verse, and then powerful thoughts started to engulf my mind, and I had to write it down. And this was going on for years. So each time I had to, wherever I would go, wherever I would travel, there was a notebook next to me and a pen or a pencil. When the stream of thought would come in the middle of driving, I would park on the side. In the middle of the night, I had to get up and write. If I wouldn't write it, it would disappear. Sometimes it would come back. But such things happened in the past while I was working with Barbara. I didn't have any special surprises here while doing this work. And what I can testify is that all what I have been writing is under his influence, because I have been writing things which I didn't know before. You understand? I was writing things which I didn't know before I was writing. That was the fun of it.
I understand. Yes, I understand. It was coming through you.
It is Baba's inspiration. Okay, you want to continue reading it, or I'll read it a little bit?
Please. Tov ma'od.
The book of Genesis, the first age or movement from unconsciousness to consciousness, spontaneous creation. I see in the Torah 3 distinct ages of fundamental activities, which in each one, certain state of consciousness was created. I don't know if this relates to the linear movement of time, which we usually see as a yearly cycles, or the movement of the celestial bodies. I view the biblical stories as allegories of psychological states which constantly occur within us. Now, what I do, I bring the English text as it is, this more or less the King James version. Some should suggest that Shakespeare wrote it, and it's based on the translation of William Tyndale, which was executed because he translated the book into English. The church executed the translator in the beginning. Let's forget it, doesn't matter. In the beginning, God, sorry?
Wow.
From the Latin to the English, that was his
He translated the book from Latin to English, so the people, the masses, can read it without the assistance of the press. And the press were, I'm talking about England a few hundred years ago. In the Church of England and Europe in general, they concealed the texts from the masses, and they would come to the church and they would hear the sermons from the press, usually the wrathful, angry God, and you have to pay money to the church, give us 10% or percentage of your income, so then you will be forgiven. You know what happened.
Yeah.
The whole thing. And when it translated into English, all of a sudden the people realized that God is love. It has nothing to do with all this, so they executed him for blasphemy, heresy. They're crazy, you know. We know all these stories of all these religions.
And his name was William Tinsdale, is that right?
William Tyndale.
Okay, wow, thank
He
you.
appears, I put his name on the skit, the most wonderful gallery in the universe. His name appears with Giordano Bruno and Halaj and others.
Oh, wow.
Very special person.
Yes, quite a crew. Oh.
In the
Very
beginning,
special.
God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, let there be light, and there was light. And God saw the light that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. In the former session, I introduced what I call the cosmic engine. And in the cosmic engine, I made in one picture, it also came by Baba's influence, 83 or 84, when I was writing this little book, The Story of Mankind. In one glance, you can see the whole picture of creation, and there it appears the night, which is beginning of creation, which I call it the negative side, the darkness, and then there's a day is where the other side of the cosmic engine moves, where the supreme consciousness appears. It is not possible to translate Hebrew text literally, definitely not the Hebrew Bible. Ancient Hebrew was a graphic, picturesque language. When the ancient Hebrew scholar read the texts, he actually could experience events as if he saw it as in the movies. It was a real experience, not abstract, mental as today. So what we have today is just a glimpse of what was given 3,000-4,000 years ago. The letters are more correct glyphs. The letters, the words, were actually pictures. When I read the Hebrew, I see pictures. It's not just the same as I read the English text. For me, while reading Hebrew, it's a very different experience. The ancient Hebrew language used to be like slides, still frames, in a motion picture. Each word provided an episode in the moving picture. There were no spaces between the words, just the same in a constant movie film. The Torah was given as a one sound. In the ancient Torah scrolls, there are no spaces between the words. And you need to be really, Master Moses taught the sages how to make the spaces. In the beginning, they put dots. But we don't have scrolls from the time of Master Moses. The first scrolls are from the Dead Sea Scrolls, the first original text of the Torah, which I can read because it's in square Aramaic letters, not Phoenician letters. And there are spaces in the Samaritan or the Shomronite books, there are no spaces. The separation of the worlds was actually a descent to gross matter, the fall of man from the spiritual state to a denser mental state. The moving images turned to be mental structures, devoid of fluidity. When we speak, there are no breaks between the words, and we still understand each word as if each one is a sound by itself. It's quite incredible. We don't say when we speak. We say when we speak, and we understand, we hear three different words. How could it be? Very interesting, very strange. Well, when we write, we must put spaces, otherwise we cannot read it. In Hebrew, the text has a very different picture. I'll consider the very first word, Bereshith. In English, it is being translated in the beginning. In Hebrew, it says, Bereshith bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. This sentence, 7 words in Hebrew, contains all the knowledge in the universe. This is what I experienced. In the beginning, God created heaven and earth. And here is a word in Hebrew. Bet, resh, be right from right to right. Be right this direction, from right to left. This is bet. Ra, a, shit. Now the word bet, if you notice, the first word we can say with a closed mouth is m, and when we say be, we start to open the mouth. And this is very important here. And look at how the word looks. The bet. It is open forward. There is a little tail to the back, as if it's coming to the past. And the
Yep.
bottom is a bit longer. And this is the R. This is crucial. In Kabbalah, the old school, which tells every little shape of the letters, their spiritual and Kabbalistic meaning. As I said, I didn't study Kabbalah, but I heard the whole series of one of our important rabbis who gave a whole course of 22, 23 lectures in YouTube explaining the meaning of the Hebrew letters. And each letter was a whole an hour or 2 hours study. So just imagine what they study in their mystical schools. When you study Kabbalah, these are years and years of study. Each letter, each word, each. Now this word, I'm explaining now what I experienced in Merabad. Here I'm saying it, writing it B, E, B. I'm writing it backwards in English. B, B, R, Shith. Now what I saw while I was walking in Merabad, I saw something, משהו כזה, was, you see, the sheen, you see, it's like a fork. You see? Well, I saw something coming like this, exploding. It was an explosion. And I saw it, I experienced it in Merabad. While I was walking there, I was strolling in Merabad. All of a sudden I experienced this, in my mind, it was nothing external. Listen to the sound of it feels like a process of something that is, just a minute, that is percolating, about to spring forth to be born. We can make a small exercise. The letter B can be pronounced when the mouth is almost closed. The letter R is a deep guttural sound. English-speaking people don't pronounce it properly, the R. You have to listen how people who speak Arabic or Spanish pronounce it. It is a very deep guttural sound, like igniting a motorcycle. The letter Shin in Hebrew looks like a fork or 3 arrows. The letter TH denotes movement. Stand a bit bent while the eyes are closed and start pronouncing B. Then while straightening your body and slowly opening your eyes, pronounce R. Then when you stand completely erect, pronounce the sheath while your hands are being raised up and the fingers pointing forward like shooting arrows. Only the letter M can be pronounced when the mouth is completely closed. This can remind us of the home point, which traditionally is the original point of creation. So when we start to open the mouth, then we can pronounce the B. That's the first one. The mouth is completely closed. Then the creation springs. When the mouth is opening, we start to create the mouth of God or the womb of God, whatever it is being explained us. Baba speaks about such things in his discourses, and the God speaks. But in the letter B, the sound is becoming and springing forth. If movement is being created, movement creates sound, and thus consciousness is being created. As soon as we move to the creation, we start to move. Movements, we move, and this creates sound. And each one of us has his own unique sound. We started as a most rudimentary particle, as Baba explained, and we move and we start to gather impressions, and these impressions create sounds. And just imagine all the sounds in the universe, each particle has its own unique sound. The letter Bet in Hebrew is a square, open forward, and has a little tail behind, suggesting that something is being brought forth from the past to the future. It is a process. In this world, we can experience a process, something, movement, fluid, nothing to do with what written in these dry letters. After repeating this exercise for a few times, we can have a faint idea of the process of awakening from a state of non-movement to movement, from dormancy to wakefulness, from a state of complete silence to the bustling of active life. This can remind us of a few theories belonging to various schools concerning the process of the primordial creation, supposedly. What it described as God was in a state of non-consciousness, and due to deep urge which sprang from the depth of infinitude to know itself, a process of awakening occurred in order to move from the state of non-consciousness to consciousness. It is not a beginning, but an endless process of awakening which continues all the time. This metaphor, which is being symbolized by the word Bereshith, is actually the shattering of the infinitude to endless individuals. Who is the very first individual? To my view, already even the most rudimentary particle, some form of consciousness is latent. From the moment an individual enters movement, consciousness is being created. Any movement is being recorded in the individual memory, which is infinite. This is an axiom. Everything in creation has consciousness. Baba, here I'm relying on Baba's comments. But I wrote, all this was written spontaneously. After I was reading the first verse of the Torah. And I'm writing in a few pages just to try to explain the very first experience of the first verse. If you will
Etzion,
consider this process,
what do those first words mean though? Because you said the English translation does not really give the true meaning
no,
of the interpretation of English as you understand it.
no,
What
you
does it
cannot,
actually mean?
you cannot translate the Hebrew at all, the verses. Now I'll explain you just the very first word. It is not in the beginning. It is a Big Bang. The Big Bang meaning that the oneness is being shattered to manyness. And it is going to be explained now in that very first sentence. He will explain the shattering of oneness to manyness.
Why was it misinterpreted by these?
They didn't understand it.
They didn't understand it.
What I'm saying, writing here, nobody write it, even the big Hebrew sages didn't write what I'm writing here. And I sent it to rabbis, and they don't want to comment over it. They're afraid to deal with this.
I'll mention something very briefly. By chance, I
Yes.
saw something on one of these streaming channels yesterday, something I would never put on, and I was just drawn to it.
Yes.
And this was a video on what you're talking about, and it showed from the point of view of the person who put this video together, this extraordinary explosion of energies and water and light. And this went on and on and on and on and on. And I saw basically something like what you're talking about And this went on for the way he expressed it, thousands into hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of years. This explosion was a organic, continuing evolutionary process that really kept on and on and on. And you saw these huge amounts of water and energy, and it just, the way you're talking, the way you're touching on it or hinting at it was something very new to me. And it's so interesting. I saw this just yesterday, and you're talking about the way it was not interpreted in a way that, with this Big Bang that, has been mentioned in the past, but wow, that they would misinterpret it. It's not
But none
very.
of but none of our sages is speaking about this in this way. People don't understand this book at all. After I was writing this, then I started to read some of the interpretations like Rashi and others, and I looked at what I wrote and what they wrote. They're explaining the words here and the words there, the meaning of the words, but they don't give what I'm writing here, they don't say at all. Nothing. Not at all. And I'm writing here a few pages that just on the first verse, the first 7 words. And you will see, I just started to explain what it is. Within the depths of our subconscious mind, an urge starts to percolate, some kind of an excitement or sound, which wakes us up and forces us to act in the world. This process describes the process of awakening from lack of consciousness to the state of complete wakefulness, which Baba explains so well in God Speaks. What I'm saying, I didn't project God Speaks on this. I'm saying that God Speaks already included here. Baba said all the knowledge was given already. Everything is here. Whatever Baba said is in the Bible, in the Hebrew Bible, and much more. This process describes the process of awakening from lack of consciousness to the state of complete wakefulness. Actually, each one of us goes through this process individually on a daily basis. The clue where we are heading is already latent here. The solution exists within each one of us. We come back to the creation every day. Every day we wake up. We very quickly undergo the process of moving from the cosmic womb back to this creation. It's a process. It's not something which happened in the past. Baba said the world is 13 billion years old. He said it in the 20s. It's in Lord Mayor somewhere. I remember it somewhere. And science came up with this idea just recently, the past few decades, that we are 13 billion years old, supposedly. But the truth is that this process of creation, the Big Bang, meaning that the infinitude becomes manyness, is a non-stop process. Individuals are oozing out from the womb point non-stop. This not happened once. There is a body of particles moving towards somewhere or not, some kind of a cloud of happenstance, something without any reason. Everything is a design, everything is a reason. There is wisdom behind the whole thing. But the mystery is that we don't say it. This is a real mystery. And the Torah came to explain the mystery, why the world doesn't understand it. It is everything is in this book. It explains the mystery of creation in a way that never was given before. Try to imagine that we wake up and there is nothing around us, nothing at all. We are back as a primordial state where physical creation doesn't exist. We have no senses, no sight, hearing, smelling, tasting, and touching. Internal sensations do not exist since there are no external stimuli to evoke such feelings, and thus there are no thoughts. But nevertheless, there is something, a hidden feeling that something is missing. Some kind of individuality exists which aspires to know and understand. This subconscious urge, but this basic feeling is the cause which pushes the effort to create something out of nothing. It is very difficult to imagine this in this late stage. We wake up daily to an already prepared physical creation. All that exists is complete darkness, which is not darkness. Since light doesn't exist, since there is no light, we don't know that we are in darkness. What I'm trying to portray here is the very first form of meditation on that there still was nothing. The very, 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 very beginning of creation, we experience nothingness. This is what I'm trying to project it. And this is to understand the process of creation, we have to come to a situation that we have no feelings, no thoughts whatsoever. Everything is completely blank and bleak. There is no light, there is nothing, complete nothingness. This is the very first of actual meditation. If you understand this, we made a big step onwards. In visions that we are without body, like any sensation and thought, there is no physical existence, no hearing, smelling, seeing, and no other sensation. What do we experience when we have a most rudimentary spark of consciousness? What would we feel at such a situation? Would an internal subconscious compulsion be emerged within us that will aspire to experience and understand? When we moved to the creation, we had this experience, but we didn't have any consciousness to understand it. Now we have consciousness, we have to go back to the source to understand what we experienced as infants. I'm trying to recreate our feelings when all this process was in its initial stages. We can enter inside ourselves and try to envision such a primeval state, possible that due to some effort we might experience some kind of emptiness, vacuum, which is actually the first state before creation. Recreating this state in our consciousness may give us a unique standpoint concerning the meaning of life and its course. Now, all this was written spontaneously without any looking at any text. The process of creation is actually a process of creating states of consciousness, and these are being expressed, materialized, or solidified physically. What was actually created in the beginning? We can see from the example above that the first thing which was created was sound. Everything in existence has its own unique sound. Consciousness is a solidification of the first sound. We started to move. As soon as we started to move, before that we didn't move, there was nothing. As soon as we started to move, we created sound. As soon as we started to create sound, consciousness started to be formed. Every movement creates a sound. Each sound creates a state of consciousness. Therefore, even the most rudimentary particles have some kind of consciousness, since they are constantly moving and generating sounds. What is consciousness actually? Isn't it the basic question we should ask? The very capability of asking questions signifies the existence of consciousness. The effect that I write my thoughts testifies for the existence of consciousness, but I cannot say what consciousness is and what a thought is. It is an existing fact. How this riddle can be solved? The inner pressure to answer this question generates the entire creation that we participate with. The inner subconscious effort, even without will, of all that exists to know the reason of existence is what brought us here, but the unconscious effort which aims at all directions created a chaotic, irrational world. The Torah is dealing with this riddle throughout and offers directives that if we follow, we might reach the place where things will be clearer and thus we will act from a broader understanding for the results of actions and will cease to act instinctively in order to fulfill our immediate needs. And this has nothing to do with what today Judaism preaches with precepts. I'm not against anything, but they are not doing anything towards this, or very faintly, or very few intimate circles are dealing with this. Consider for a moment the science which correctly is trying to explain, investigate, and prove everything, but science has no clue how to explain what is consciousness and thought, and all at the same time uses these tools in order to negate phenomena which cannot be explained beyond the mental level. Shall I continue? A practical way of understanding the spirit till a certain degree through the arts. Here we are capable of creating worlds which do not exist actually, seemingly to create something out of nothing, to reach for insights that cannot be achieved through the intellect alone. Through the arts, we can reach beyond the intellect. The intellect was formed due to the mental efforts of the various individuals to survive in the physical world, an effort which springs from the hidden spiritual aspiration to understand the meaning of life through gaining superconsciousness. Therefore, the intellect can never understand the spiritual phenomena. Science, which is trying to understand the spiritual phenomena through the intellect, defeats itself. The role of science is to improve human lives on earth, but science, which is not based on morality and spiritual directives, as was offered above, is destructive. Only the combinations of science, spiritual understanding, and the arts can usher a breakthrough. Superconsciousness cannot be achieved by the power of will or by some kind of mental exercising. Such an exercise can bring the person to the threshold of the possibility of achieving such a state, but there is no exercise which can enable the person to cross this threshold. The only way today to achieve superconsciousness is to follow the footsteps of those persons who achieved it. The main characteristic of such people is that they absolutely have no personal interests. They even don't care for their spiritual success, but serving the cause of creation. They receive at certain stage superconsciousness in order that their work will be more efficient, practical, and pointed. Superconsciousness can never be reached through various drugs. There is no physical means for its achievement. Drugs can only ruin the mental constitution of a person and lead to delusion and madness. The first sentence in the book of Genesis is actually a mighty sentence. So 7 worlds, the entire act of creation is being expressed. The entire wisdom is being encapsulated in one sentence. Actually, if we could dive deep, then all that was written later on is no more but a commentary of this one single sentence. The person who wrote this had superconsciousness, which almost doesn't exist these days. Today, we lost the spiritual capability to see what these words and letters symbolize. All that remains is no more but a dim echo. But even this dim echo contains powerful might, which is capable of awakening us mentally. Of course, the Hebrew language, the formation of the letters and their shape has overwhelming importance. It is not possible to translate it. I'm not posing as an expert in the mystical structure of the Hebrew language. Possible that there are such people who deal with occult Jewish teachings, also called Kabbalah. But here it is not the interest of the direction. This article also meant to emphasize the power of the Hebrew language, that its main task is not only to serve as a tool of communication between people, but also as a tool which can contain spiritual truths which are beyond the intellect of human beings. Let's continue to view the text. It is possible to delve deeply in each word and each shape of the letter. The sages of Judaism do, but I'm trying to find various interesting points out of the ordinary. Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. This is the first verse. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The word bara is singular, but the word Elohim is plural. It should be said either Bereshit bara'u Elohim. Elohim is plural. El is singular. In Hebrew, we can say in Hebrew, the word we can write it in a singular or plural. In English, you add the s. In Hebrew, the word is totally as a change. So it should be written either, if it's plural, it should be Reshit Bar'u, or if it's singular, Reshit Bara Eloha. But this is the fact that Bara is singular and Loha is plural. It has a very deep meaning, and I'm going to explain it. The process of creation is the differentiation of the one, the infinitude, the endless individuals, infinite in their number, a movement from oneness to manyness. The 10th sentence should be written, Bereshit baru Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. Baru is a plural of bara, but it is a united action made by the various God beings working together with perfect accord, and this is the reason why the verb bara is in the singular. God beings are actually who we are. Individuals endowed with consciousness. We are the Elohim. Actually, what is an Elohim? This is who we are. We are the individuals, the God beings. God beings are actually who we are. Individuals endowed with consciousness. Why this process occurs is a mystery of creation of which there is no answer that the human mind can fathom. The word bara means to create matter, to form a shape for the spiritual essence behind the things, to flesh up. It is also the root word for health, briut in Hebrew. Creation is a healthy process. It is possible to say that the process of creation is transforming thoughts to material essence. For example, when we think on the need to create a certain tool, the result of the thinking process will be that the thoughts will consolidate in the form of a physical object, like a hammer or a wheel. Those are actually thoughts which were materialized. The personal process which we are acquainted with might hint at the initial creating process. Again, with the word bara, we can find the root word of bereshith, bara-shith. It is not accidental, it is possible to delve into it. But the aim of this article is not towards mysticism. You see what was written just on this first verse. The term Elohim, gods, I'm trying to explain as endless individuals who were created during the initial awakening, shattering of the creation. The Big Bang, to my understanding, is awakening from dormancy to action. These endless individuals are being propelled by an irresistible force which aims firstly to return to the original unity, but with complete consciousness, and secondly, to maintain the individuality. We will consider this term throughout the article from various angles. Now come a unique Hebrew word, et. You need a unique word for the Hebrew language. It denotes the appearance of action and individuality. Me and you. Ani. Ani in Hebrew, I am, I. The word et ata, me and you. It is not a mere connecting word. It has a deep meaning in regard to the construction of the sentence and its meaning. Aleph is the first letter in the Hebrew alphabet, and Tav is the last letter, meaning from the Alpha to Omega. It is not an accidental. This short word symbolizes the process of creation, the beginning and the end. This kind of word doesn't exist in any other language, to my knowledge, and without it, this sentence would avoid its true meaning. Et symbolizes the and the beginning and the end. It can symbolize a cycle of activity that begins and ends to create something that didn't exist before, heaven. The waking mind focused on the sun shining on everything. The sun usually symbolizes the superego.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know how much more you have, but we need to have a little break between this and the next meeting.
Okay.
Be in 15 minutes. So
I'll
you
come just finish this sentence,
or paragraph, yeah.
the paragraph. And then you tell me if you want to continue with this, do something else. So
We should, I think we should continue. Yeah, I don't know how long the article is.
it will take 2 years.
Oh, maybe not then. Go
It will
ahead,
be fun.
go ahead.
Let's just start with the first chapter of Genesis. This is very deep, but what comes later is very interesting. Or we
Etzion,
can
I want to
make,
mention,
yes,
I just want to mention, you might want to come to this class that we had yesterday because it's on creation, one of Baba's books on creation.
yes.
And I just ordered it actually from the Sharia bookstore. This is a class on Thursdays at 5 o'clock through Baba Zoom. And it's guided by a very, very excellent facilitator, teacher. And she's offering a class today, also at 5 o'clock, on infinite intelligence. What you're writing about here and the way you express yourself and think, you might want to check out both these gatherings. They're Baba gatherings about his books, and the group from the class from yesterday, the gathering where I think you would really, really find it very challenging or stimulating or interesting. I just mention it because it's very, very connected. And I'm trying to think of the book. It's got the name Creation. Actually, tell you what the book is that she's dealing with because it's connect. It's very, very, very much like yours. It's called Creation and Its Causes by Baba. And it
Yes.
sort of is, yeah.
Yes, but Betty wants to say something.
I'm sorry.
Sleep when it's 5 o'clock our time, I believe, right? At
Oh.
night? Our 5 o'clock in the evening, is that what, early morning for you?
I'm a 9:15 at night.
What? You mean only 4 hours different?
No, 7 hours.
Oh, 5 o'clock here. Oh, I'm sorry.
This is 21:15 in Israel time.
Well, it is 5 o'clock Thursday night and 5 o'clock Friday night. If you happen to be able to even try it once, I think you might find it extremely nurturing and very, very stimulating. And it's an extremely interesting class. She's a very interesting, very talented facilitator. Very, very unusual way she is dealing with the class. Very interesting. So just want to let you know. Betty, of course, if you have time. But
I have
I
a hard
know, I know, I know, I know, I know, I know.
head. Brainy stuff just goes right by me. But should we finish this section
Please,
though? Yeah.
please, yeah, please finish the
I'll finish the passage. The divine spark that exists in everything, heaven does not actually exist without the presence of the sun. The sun shines constantly in every situation and radiates the warmth of its love on all that exists, the good and the bad. The earth, this is the other side of consciousness, what we call the subconscious, the endless storehouse of impressions and memories. Every movement, even the slightest one, is etched there with indelible ink. The earth contains countless creatures from the level of viruses, molecular chains that join individual cells, uniting into more complex entities, and so on to the human stage. In fact, everything that exists is a fruit of thought. The earth is a scaffolding on which all activities take place. There is no land without animals, from the most primal to the human figure.
Wow.
You write beautifully, very well written.
So all of this was you feel given to you, yeah? Baba.
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
I was reading the Hebrew verses.
Ah,
I was meditating on the Hebrew verses, and then after that I would receive a stream of thoughts, inspirational thoughts concerning what I was meditating in Hebrew. But the thoughts were of course in Hebrew, not in English. And this is a translation of what I wrote originally in Hebrew.
wow. Wow. Ooh.
Thank you.
And
Thank you so much, Etzion. This is very, very, there's so many words I could use, but I'm grateful. Thank you.
so if you folks you want to continue, take it some time each time to, because
That would be great.
We can
Yeah.
dedicate these meetings for this, or conclude the other issues from time to time.
Absolutely.
And,
However you want to structure it is fine.
fine. This also we have to discuss also if it's agreeable with Betty, of course.
Absolutely, of course.
And it's your space. I feel, you know, I don't moderate the content. It's you, that's your
Okay, I think what is behind this is since we are focused on Mayor Baba, and all what I'm writing is due to the focusing of Baba and his inspiration, because while whatsoever I do is based on my focusing on him.
Okay.
He is a writer and I'm the pen.
right.
That's what it is.
Apparently so.
That's what it is. That's the truth.
All
It's
right.
not a, yeah, I'm saying the truth. This is not a false humility, and I don't claim. You understand? I was writing, and all the time curious to know what is going to be the next sentence, because I didn't know. Usually, when a writer is writing, he sees a picture and he's trying to portray it, trying to tell a story which he knows it already. But I was writing something, and I didn't know what is going to come next. That was the beauty, and that's usually what happens while writing the skits. In all the books, all whatever I was writing under Baba's influence was like this. I was all the time curious to know what is coming next, because I didn't know.
Well, you have a great body of work, so Bob was very generous. Okay,
That
so
is,
next Friday then we will resume.
so we'll continue. I marked where
You
we
did.
stopped. I
Yeah.
marked it in yellow. And if so the world wishes, we'll continue from there. It's it is a very deep story. Book of Genesis was dedicated to the creation of states of consciousness. And Israel, it reaches Israel at the end. Israel is a God man. God really When Jacob received God realization, his name was changed from Jacob to Israel. That's a story. And the story, when he received it, really portrays what Lava said when God speaks about the traversing of the abyss.
Oh, I
And we
see.
need,
Mhm. Oops, are you frozen?
You froze, Etzion, as you were saying.
Yeah.
When Jacob had God realization, his name changed to Israel.
and
Right.
later
What
the
did you-
Torah brings that actually Jacob became God realized he had this super consciousness.
Mhm.
But it's by the end of the book of Genesis. It's actually a trip, an odyssey. It's very unique, very interesting story. What was being revealed, what is being written here, is very different than all the what was written before on the Torah.
Why don't you stop share, Etzion? We'll see you.
Okay, okay,
Okay.
okay. So we'll meet in half an hour with
Oh, no, now it's 10 minutes and they'll be here in 10 minutes. So I'm just gonna wait. They'll yeah,
okay.
but I'll stop
So,
recording.
so I'll come back in 10 minutes.